Hi friends, thank you for joining me. This is Candace Gillespie with Candace'sCanvases.com, and you are watching a fun Friday tutorial. What you'll need is 3 clothespins, and I'm using our brand new Moonlight paper stack. It is adorable, and it coordinates with all of our brand new in colors. And here's a piece. What we're going to do is we're going to take a clothespin, move the others aside, flip over the paper we're going to use and trace that clothespin. Once we're done tracing, we're going to cut it out, and make sure when you do snip it out that you cut it out on the inside of the line, if that makes sense. Okay, now that it's cut out, we are going to bring in some chocolate chip ink and our handy dandy stamping sponges that are just attached to our handy dandy clothespins. Can you tell I love clothespins? So practical. And we are going to distress those. Now my stamping sponges, I cut them in 8s. Some people cut them in quarters, whatever you prefer. And so once that's distressed, we're going to bring in our fabulous Crystal Effects. Love this stuff. And I'm using Crystal Effects because I'm attaching it to wood. I have a feeling Tombow Mono Multi Glue would do okay also for this job, but just in case, I know for sure Crystal Effects is a super strong adhesive and it would work fine. So I'm just taking a straight pin and I'm just clearing the hole because this is a super fabulous adhesive. It does get clogged from time to time. So I am rubbing it on there and just kind of dispersing it evenly with my finger, wiping my finger off, and then applying that strip that we have distressed. Now you'll have to work with it for a second. First of all, it's going to slide around until that Crystal Effects under it gets tacky enough to actually hold the paper in place. And then if you have any hangover, you can do a couple things. What you see me doing here is I am just kind of bending it over the sides, and it's hardly even hanging over, but you know, in the event it is, just use some of that Crystal Effects to your advantage, and you know, roll it over to the sides and kind of stick it down, or you can use a sanding block and make sure you sand it in a down direction. Don't sand it up because you'll flip your paper off. We're going to bring in our little stamping sponge and chocolate chip ink and just give it a little bit more distressing. I think my fingers all over it, my sticky fingers kind of took a little bit of that distressing off. So there we go. There's our first clothespin. Now our second one, we are going to take our chocolate chip ink with our stamping sponge tool here, and we are going to just stain up the front of this clothespin. It just gives it a rugged old look. Then we're going to bring in our spiral flower original die. Love this thing. It came out in our Occasions Mini catalog, and it is fabulous. So it's here to stay with us for 2014-2015 annual catalog year. So get it while it's hot. I'm going to use our fabulous bone folder made out of actual bone, and it is a sturdy tool, just giving it a little fold, and you can see an accident occurred. It ripped, but that is no problem. If you don't like this, you can definitely cut another one, but all I'm doing here is I'm just taking our faithful Tombow Mono multi-purpose glue, another super good adhesive, and I'm just gluing it together, overlapping just a tiny bit. Now this thing is going to be spiraled up so tight and so beautifully, you will never be able to see it. And then I am using tweezers. You definitely do not have to use tweezers. You just kind of have to start that roll and determine which side you want on the inside, which side you want on the outside when you use our double-sided paper like this. And then just start rolling. Now, imagine me doing this with my fingers. You definitely can. You do not have to use tweezers, like I said. I just do for some reason. I'm just kind of in the habit of doing it. But I'll definitely do a tutorial where I don't use tweezers. So then once it's all rolled, we let it go, and you notice it just kind of bounces to just a beautiful shape. You can see it unraveling a tiny bit more while I grab my glue dots. And on the bottom, I'm going to put a random amount. I just put enough. Maybe I put 2 or 3 here, and then 1 or 2 on the next kind of, I want to say loop. You kind of see it there. And then I just stick those 2 pieces to the bottom of my flower. I do love to use wet glue for this though, because your whole flower sticks to it. Here it's hit and miss, but it still works perfectly fine. Then I'm taking my bone folder. I learned this from Sam from Poodle's Paper Craft. She's a fabulous crafter. Go check her out. But you just take your bone folder and you press real hard, well, hard enough, and down onto your flower, and it kind of spreads it open like this. Saves you time with like curling and messing with paper. So once that's stuck on there with our glossy accents, I am bringing out some Mossy Meadow. This is a beautiful color. It's from our brand new In Colors collection. And I am using my Bird Builder punch to punch out those leaves. And I'm going to punch out a pair. So once you have those 2, just figure out where you want them to be, kind of like a vine dangling down or up. And you can definitely place your flower at the top like I have here, leave some room for you to grab the pin, or you can put it on the bottom. I notice a lot of people put it closer to the pin side, the pinchy side. Whatever you prefer is awesome. So I'm just giving it all a try. I'm trying it in all directions where I want to place this leaf, these leaves rather. And I've decided where, so I eyeballed where I need to put adhesive and put my little leaf set on there. And then I will take my paper snips, and they're fabulous because they're sharp all the way to the very tip. And I just trim off with the very tip of those snips the excess that's hanging out. And our second one's done. Now for the third one, we're going to do the same thing to begin with. Kind of grunge up the front of that beautifully brand new clothespin. And we're going to use from our same paper stack here some more paper, the Moonlight paper stack, new from the 2014-2015 annual catalog. And we are going to use our Stampin' trimmer, and we are going to cut this at a 1/2 inch by 4 1/4 inches. There we go. Those 3 measurements you saw will be the end result of all the pieces you need. So I'm going to put some Tombow glue in the center of that bow, well, what is going to be our bow, and folding it in to where that adhesive is, just kind of meeting it in the middle there. And those are going to be our loops of our bow. So then I am going to cut a piece of this designer series paper that is going to measure a 1/2 inch by 3 1/4 inches. Kind of takes a second because it closes right there, so you gotta just work it just right. There we go, 3 1/4 inches. Close it and trim it. And here I am just giving it some banner ends on either side, because this is going to be like the ribbon that's hanging out. And I'm just going to put some Tombow glue in the center there and adhere that right in the center of that newly trimmed up piece of designer series paper. There you have your basic building of your bow. The next step is optional. It depends. I thought I was going to put a thinner strip here, so I did trim it, like you'll see in just a second. But it ended up that I didn't. I just used the same 1/2 inch width piece of paper. You'll see what I'm talking about. So in the event that you want to use a thinner piece of paper, then you would cut these little V's, if you will, into it. But here I decided later, of course, after the fact, you can always cover it up, which is fantastic about paper crafting, but I ended up using a 1/2 inch by, I think it was about 1 1/4 inches, and I trimmed off a little bit, but just better too much than not enough. So I'm just fitting that around and gluing it as I go. And snipping off the excess. And then I give it a little crunch in the middle there and just kind of force that paper into those dents that I have made. Why not use them? They're there. Now this tutorial ends without the embellishment in the center of that bow, which is how I originally designed it. But later, once it was all dry and done, I looked at it and just thought it would be cute. So I put a big, huge rhinestone in the center of that bow. But the video doesn't show it, but that's optional, so do whatever you want. Taking our crystal effects and adhering that bow to our clothespin and making sure there's enough room at the top there. There you have it, our trio. Isn't that so fun? They're all coordinating. I love this honey color. Hello Honey is what it's called. New designer series paper. And that's it. I hope you have a fabulously fun Friday and a great weekend. And remember to stop by Candace'sCanvases.com for any of your Stampin' Up! Needs, to get inspired and to join my team. I'd be absolutely happy to have you and to craft with you. And I would love to send you this trio of clothespins when you join. So we'll talk to you soon. Bye.